Karen Burchill here. Welcome to my channel. Today we have Masterboard magic. I'm going to talk about how to create a masterboard, why to create a masterboard, and then I'm going to show you what I turn my masterboard into. And here's a very quick sneak peek of a couple of the projects that I do create. So I am starting with the substrate, and anything goes. You could put it on copy paper. This is some old packaging that I have on my desk. And that's one of the benefits because you're going to use things that are going to otherwise end up in the recycle bin. Also, I am taking my little bits of paper, little bits of dictionary paper in this case, or music paper, and I'm putting it down. So I'm using up things that I have that have accumulated on my desk in my stash. So again, because it's not precious, your mind is going to be a little bit more free. You're not going to be so worried about it because you're doing it on packaging. You're doing it with little bits of paper. Creating a masterboard is a great thing to do when maybe you're creatively stuck or you don't have a lot of time, because you can do a little bit. I can just put down one layer. I can pull out the papers. So here I grabbed blue from my jelly prints, my little bits of jelly prints that you just can't throw out. And I picked blue because basically my package was overflowing in it. So that is how random my thoughts are. I'm not making any decisions. I have no plan for this. So I'm not bogged down with that. I just want to get color and texture and interesting pattern on this board. That's it. I'm just enjoying it. So as I'm putting down blue, I noticed a couple of the pieces have quinacridone magenta in it. And so in the process of putting down the blue papers, the fact that some of them have the pink leads me to my next color choice. So I grab my pink package of gel prints, and that's where I'm going next. So I grab some that have that teal blue in it and some that don't, and I'm just ripping them up and I'm using them. And I just want, because with the masterboard, you're going to cut this up. I have no idea at this moment what I'm going to cut this and use this for. And that frees your mind. I've seen people where they go, okay, I'm going to cut this into postcards or I'm going to cut this into ATCs. So they kind of know, but that might limit you. Here I just want color and interest throughout this page. And I'm putting it down. Mostly I'm ripping the edges because I like that look. That adds texture and interest. I'm just getting bits of color everywhere and it's pleasing to the eye. This is just a fun, free activity. So again, it's a great one if you're creatively stuck, if you have lost your mojo, if you're afraid of the blank page, this is great because you're not overthinking it. And just the way, you start moving and gluing things down, that motion of the brush seems to give you ideas. Every decision that I've made on this masterboard is created by something that I've done. So I don't have a plan from beginning to end, is what I'm trying to say. So there's another teal piece that has some strong magentas on it. So I went looking now for that because that seems to be the color scheme for this masterboard. I am gluing this down with fluid matte medium. You could use Mod Podge. You could use whatever adhesive you have. I prefer the fluid matte medium and I use the Liquitex brand. So there we are progressing. Now I wanted to add some stamping. So I'm grabbing my 5x7 gel plate and I'm putting black paint on it, brayering it. I'm going to use this like a stamp pad. And I'm bringing out my homemade stamps. And I will put a link in the iCards in the top right-hand corner to where I create these homemade stamps. I love these. And they're perfect for mark making on any page. collage sheet, or a masterboard. I just want some contrast, black and white. So now I'm using a stamp pad with my script stamp, and I'm getting some script on there. And I'm liking the look of that. If you use your stamps with acrylic paint, just spray them with your Murphy's oil soap and get rid of them. The swirl pattern I'm putting on. And you can see the masterboard or collage sheet, whatever you want to call it, is taking shape. Now I'm just cleaning off my gel plate because I want to use white. I want to do some stamping with white. I could have taken a paper and pulled it off that way. So now I'm applying white and I'm using the stamps. And I'm just adding some white. You can see the black, white with the teal and the pink are working really well together. I love this homemade stamp. I'm happy every time I use it. Now I've got leftover paint and I thought, oh, I'm going to grab a couple of collage sheets that I've created that, just aren't quite done, and I'm adding the stamping on there. So again, in that theme of use up everything, use up leftover paint, use up the stamping, grab some sheets, add it on, grab gel prints. So now I have some areas that are white, and I'm grabbing some teal paint and some magenta and thinning it down somewhat and rubbing it in those blank spaces just to get an all over color. I could have left it as it was. That would have been fine. But I wanted it thinner. You can still see the scripts or the book paper shining through. It looks great. And I went over some of that white. It pushed things back. And the reason I pushed back the white was because I wanted to have the focal images. Now, at this stage, you could just put it on the shelf and have it there and use it as you have a project. But I decided I'm going to make a ICAD, which is a postcard size. That's a 4x6. And then I want to use a piece in my art journal. And I'm not going to show you how I finished that off in this video because that got a little more involved. So that I will put a link to that video so you can see what I did with it. Ended up being a 6x6 piece. I cut it down. And now I'm going to cut 4 ATCs. So out of this piece, I've got 4 ATCs, which are 3.5 by 2.5, one ICAD by 4x6, and one 6x6 square, which I'll be using in, you're not going to see that in this video. I'm just using my Tim Holtz guillotine cutter. This is a mini one. I love it. It sits on underneath my desk on a drawer. And you can see the beautiful backgrounds here and different ones on an ATC. And there are the scraps. And I'm even going to use some of those scraps to make embellishments. Here's the 6x6 on the art journal page, and I'll be doing that in another video. So I grabbed this striped mandala stencil, and I'm just stenciling on with white in that corner and in this corner. I just figure I'm going to add that motif and let that shine through. I'm going to edge this in black. Now, with the Masterboard, when you cut it, you can add anything when you are actually creating. I could have added modeling paste. I could have added stenciling, which you saw me doing here. I could layer more papers on. I could do anything. That is just a starting point. I grabbed my Sakura glaze pen and I'm just outlining this to bring out the black because I really want to bring out the stencil pattern. And for the sake of ease with this video, I'm keeping the projects fairly simple. So I'm not adding modeling paste. I'm doing some stamping and stenciling on top of a lovely background. So I'm really using my Masterboard in these projects, an Insta background. Here I'm cutting out a butterfly to use as an embellishment on this one. So here I've used the Masterboard to make embellishments, and you can do that. You can use it and cut it with your Cricut, with your silhouette machine, with whatever dies you have. The Masterboard, it's just open possibilities. I'm edging the butterfly with black and with white so it kind of pops. And I decide that I want to add some silver script on the butterfly. Now remember, in the background there is some of that script stamp that's peeking through. You may not be able to see it, but it's there and it reads together. So I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to put this here. I could have made that butterfly a little bit darker so it popped a little more. We are never done, right? And because it's thick paper, because I used packaging. Now, if I knew I was going to make embellishments with it, I may have used paper that was just copy paper or tissue paper. A Masterboard can be done on any substrate. So I'm drying it and just making sure that it's fully adhered. And I use gel medium, not my fluid medium for that. Gel medium works better when you have heavier things to glue down. So I grab my charcoal and I'm going to shade around this butterfly. Again, I want to bring it out a little bit from the very somewhat busy background. So I'm using my General's charcoal pencil, and I think this is the soft one. And I'm blending with a blending stump or tortillon. And that just gets right next to it, and sometimes you can't do that with your finger. And just shading around the outside edge. And I apologize that I'm somewhat off view here. And I stamp the word fly using my wooden alphabet stamps in acrylic paint. So this is a General's charcoal and it's white, and I'm just adding a little bit more highlights on the butterfly. Again, with the idea of bringing the butterfly out. You can use a gel pan. And I decide, that's going to rub off. So here I come in with the gel pen. It's a little more opaque. And I'm going more solid around it because I like the look of it. Edging with the white gel pen. And one ICAD done. So if you are going to do the Index Card a Day challenge that's coming up in June and July, you can do a bunch of Masterboards and have a whole bunch of Insta backgrounds done. So here I'm just going to do some stenciling. This one is Happy Dandelion stencil, and I'm just stenciling with white. I love the colors in the background. I don't want to do a whole lot of layering. I am turning these into artist trading cards that I will be giving to people when they take classes. When people order my art kits, different things. These will be included in there in lieu of a business card. So I don't want it to be too bulky. This is a hydrangea stamp, which I love, and I decided, hey, I'm going to see if I can stamp with the white acrylic paint, and I just stamp on the corner. I'm liking that contrast. There was a stamp from Michaels that I used, the Dreamcatcher. This stencil is another one from Crafter's Workshop called Screen View. I made a mess there, too much paint on my makeup sponge, and I'm just adding some white onto it. And I love that Screen View. It's such a great all-purpose, must have in your stash. Edging this with black. Normally, again, if I've done a masterboard, it will sit there, and then when I have a project, I might use it. I don't typically go and create with it right away. It's kind of a stash builder thing. I'm showing you, because inevitably someone posts or comments, I want to see what you created with this, so I thought I would do that. And I was so happy with the colors and the way that the masterboard turned out. So again, I had a little piece, so I cut a heart. I used a heart template, and I cut a heart out of the masterboard, and then I'm using that as an embellishment. So really, there is so little of this masterboard left. And if there was any more pieces, I could cut some hearts, some basic shapes, and that goes in my stash that could be used in another project. Then I found some words and sayings that I had typed out, and I'm considering putting on a collage or a sentiment pack. I'm working on collecting a whole sentiment pack with these different fonts, different sizes, just basic short phrases that are perfect for ATCs or ICADs. And I'm just putting them in the white and the black. And I picked a font that is fairly bold. Now I'm just adding the details and finishing it off. So I use the gel pen here. And I believe I grabbed my fine line bottle next because I decide I wanted a little more opaque. And since I'm doing a lot of it, I can use in the fine line bottle. But you can do both. And it's good to know that you have options depending on the look that you want. So in the fine line bottle, I have Liquitex Basics, heavy-bodied white paint, and I thin it with water till it gets the right consistency. And it's just a trial and error. Sorry, I don't have a recipe. I do not mix up a full bottle because a little lasts a long, long time. So I'm loving this. I'm loving the white contrast on with this. Each of the backgrounds is unique and special. So I hope you give creating a masterboard a chance. Use it as a stash builder. Use it as an opportunity to just get creative without any preconceived notion about where it's going. Try out a new color scheme. Use up those old scraps. Let that dictate where you start. So there are the 4 ATCs, and I absolutely love them. I'm going to splatter them with some silver. I know, not gold, right? But silver seems to go well with the color scheme that I've got going. Grab the Sakura Glaze Black, and I'm just outlining the sentiments. So once you have the masterboard, doing ATCs or doing an ICAD is a relatively quick, simple project that you can, complete beginning to end in, under 30 minutes once you already have that masterboard. So creating a masterboard really bumps up your creativity, builds your stash, and speeds up your creative process when you're limited in time. So here's a close-ups. There's a sneak peek of the art journal page that I'm going to do with the other piece. And here's the ICAD and the ATCs. Give me a comment, give me a thumbs up. Bye for now.